Box Elder School District School Board meeting, 6:30 p.m., April 11th, 2021. This is a Truth in Taxation hearing.
Right. I will welcome to our board meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. We're going to begin by having a reverence by myself, Julie Taylor, and then Connie Archibald will lead us in the flag salute and Pledge of Allegiance. And afterwards we will have recognitions from Tiffany Summers. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to gather as a community and as those interested in the Box Elder School District. We're grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy and for the opportunities and blessings that we have as we learn and grow and educate our young people. We're thankful for all of our teachers and staff members, especially those that have been working so hard throughout the last few months to prepare for this upcoming school year. We're grateful for the leadership we have in our district, and we pray that Thy Spirit will guide and direct our administrators and their decisions and their directives, and all through all the rest of our teachers and staff members. Please help us this night that we can have open minds, that we can listen, and that we can make good decisions and do what is best for the children in our school district. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please stand. Face the flag and join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have 4 awesome recognitions tonight, and I'm so excited about all of them. Our first one is to Mrs. Melanie Day. Is she here tonight? I don't see her. The Box Elder School District Board of Education and Leadership team would like to congratulate Mrs. Day on being a recipient of one of only 2 Teacher of the Year awards from the Utah Advisory Council of Theater Teachers. Being selected for this prestigious award by her theater teacher colleagues across the state of Utah is a well-deserved honor, and we're so excited for her. The work she does at Box Elder High School is beyond outstanding. Mrs. Jamie Kent has said that she values Box Elder High School drama program and the experiences her students have, and that she is always striving to make things memorable for them. Her dedication to her students and to her theater department is truly wonderful. We recognize her time and dedication, and we appreciate her greatly. Congratulations to Mrs. Day. The next recognition is to Mr. Robert Gordon and his IT staff. I know Robert, but are any of your staff members here? Would you stand, please? Let's give you a round of applause. We would like to recognize and thank you for the great work you have completed over the years, but especially during this pandemic. Last school year, you and your staff, Robert, were absolutely amazing in providing all of the support you gave staff and students as they worked through the online learning and quarantine, Canvas, Chromebook deployment, and all of the background work it takes to make this all happen. We're excited and thank you for all the work that it has taken and still occurring to allow our school district the ability to be a one-to-one school district. That means that each student would have their own Chromebook. The amount of work it takes to initialize and get all of those machines up and ready to go is mind-boggling. Robert, your vision and support for the IT staff has been spot on when it comes to helping teachers be more effective in their ability to deliver content to their students both in school and online. Your experience in how to help educators be more efficient is recognized and appreciated. Your persistence in being to all of our board meetings, both virtual and now live, and allowing the world to log on and watch board meetings is exactly what we need to know. Is exactly what we need to allow us to be a transparent and well-functioning public body. I need to learn to read again. Thank you to your staff for your great work and all the great work yet to come. Sincerely, all of us. Thank you. Our next recognition is to the Mountain View Elementary. So is anyone here representing Mountain View?
Yes, there are.
Oh, that's Congratulations to Mountain View Elementary on your recent recognition by the state for outstanding academic achievement you made during the 2020-2021 school year. Your dedication and focus on student learning through teacher efficacy, feedback and recognition, challenging goals, and positive self-increased student outcomes to over 70% of typical or better progress in every grade level. We commend you for the valiant efforts you all made to ensure that all students learned at high levels and your unceasing belief that you had the ability to increase student achievement. It is inspirational to see what you accomplished during the COVID-19 school year, and we are thrilled with your academic success. We want to thank the principal, leaders, teachers, and staff for their outstanding efforts in achieving such positive results for the students. Thank you for setting high expectations for your students and creating a climate where teachers and students can learn and grow. Kudos to Principal West and all of the teachers and staff for motivating, teaching, encouraging, supporting, and making connections with students to strive for success every day. Sincerely, the leadership team and the Board of Education. Does anyone want to add anything to that, Carrie?
No, we're just super excited about it, and we're excited to see where you go this year, and very appreciative of Robert and his crew. They save us every day, so they're amazing. So
Yes,
thank
we
you
are
so
so
much.
grateful for all of you.
Yeah.
One more, and I hope that there are some representatives for the Child Nutrition and Summer Meals Program staff. Are you here? Any of you here today? Being here, and we know that there's a whole army behind all of you, right? There's a bunch of you, and we appreciate you so much. We want to give you all our sincere appreciation for the work you have done throughout the communities in our district to provide healthy meals to our children during the summer months. You all have prepared and served over 160,000 meals this summer, and you have done this amongst several challenges, the extra hot weather being just one of those. We appreciate the fact that you are all such dependable professionals, and that you do your jobs and provide this service with kindness and positive attitude to the families who are receiving these meals. Thank you for being outstanding employees at Box Elder School District. We recognize your effort and appreciate each of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you for our summer lunch program. I know that I've seen the signs. We're hiring. We need help, right? But you're doing a fabulous job. We appreciate that. And I was so excited about Mountain View's achievements. I mean, in a pandemic year, to increase student learning was amazing. And of course, Robert and his team. I'm so grateful that I hope there are people joining us virtually to see these meetings. But I'm grateful that we have that option for them to go onto.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many we have right now. Not too many right now.
Okay,
but,
well, we need to spread the word. It's on virtual. You can attend a board meeting in the comfort of your own home and see what's going on and be informed and let us know, because that's what it's about. Okay, we're going to move on. I would take a motion for an approval of the agenda.
Move we approve the agenda.
So I have a motion by Brian Smith and a second by Karen Cronin to approve the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so for our agenda, we're going to, I'm looking at two different things here. First, we're going to have public comment. And just, so there's several of you who signed up for public comment that deal with the tax increase. That will take place on the D3, which is Truth in Taxation Budget Hearing. So is there anyone here, all of them I see are for that. Is there anyone here that has public comment on another item? Okay, then we'll hold this off for just a couple of agenda items. We're going to go through the approval of a couple of approvals, and then we'll move to that. So just hang tight, we'll be there. So no other, okay, no public comment then. All right, so the next item is approval of the change of the October board meeting.
Okay, I apologize for letting this happen every year, but it's happened before. we get a little bit closer to the fall and we realize that the October board meeting is on the Wednesday prior to the fall break. And there's an awful lot of people who'd like to get off and get going and make it early also, whether it's important to all people, it's important to some. Usually the football games for that week or that night, which is important to a lot of people. So my recommendation would be to move that particular meeting to the Tuesday prior to that. And I did not, let's see, the 12th. It was scheduled for the 13th, move it to the 12th. And,
So moved. I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Karen Cronin and a second by Connie to move our October board meeting to October 12th, which is the Tuesday of that week rather than the Wednesday. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. We will move our October board meeting. Thanks, Superintendent. All right, approval of the early learning plan. Carrie, can you?
Yes. Yeah, if you want to, no, you can pull it up if you want to. This plan has typically been the early literacy plan, and we've had goals that we set as a whole. There's a team of us that's representative, our assessment director, our special ed director, myself, Lisa's the literacy director, 2 principals and 2 coaches. And the 2 principals and 2 coaches rotate every 2 years so that everyone has the opportunity to be a part of those. We attend state trainings that walk us through our Acadian State at the end of the year, and it pinpoints exactly which grade level, which literacy component we need to work on. And so we've done that for the past 3 years. And I'm excited to tell you that last year we were really nervous going into the pandemic with our 2nd grade goal, because you have to increase it by 3 to 5%, regardless of where you drill it down to, whatever that number is. To get a growth goal, you have to go 3 to 5%. So even going 3%, it was a lofty goal. And we made it. It was so exciting. Like, we were cheering today in our teacher academy and yesterday. It was a great accomplishment that our 2nd grade was able to meet our goals. So both of our grades have met their goal. And this past legislative session, the state legislation passed math. So it's no longer called the literacy plan, it's the early learning plan. And you'll notice there was math goals. Math goals are, even from the state, they're just being kind of lenient. It's new. It's Acadians math that we'll administer 3 times a year like we do the Acadians literacy. So Jeremy will oversee that assessing in the schools. So we'll just look forward to the results we get from that and how that can help drive what we do and inform our teachers of their practice and help students. So that's why there were both goals in there this time. So do any of you have any questions that I can explain or answer?
Okay, just a big congratulations. That was
It's huge.
probably
We're so proud of
a
them.
little nervous coming off of the 3 months we were online and then
I
having to
know.
make that goal. So
I know, and
thank
then we
you
got
to
shortened
you
day
and
and-
all those that
Yeah.
worked so hard to meet us.
It was awesome. And it was great because I told them this morning, I said, we didn't just barely squeak by. Like, it was like a home run.
We cleared the goal.
Cleared the goal.
That's
So
awesome.
it was awesome, yeah. So we feel
Thank
good about it, and our goals are based off the data, which shows where our area needs to be. So both of them will be working on composite this year, and then our math goal looks like our baseline, so.
Fantastic. Okay,
I'll make a motion.
okay, so we have a motion by Connie Archibald. Go ahead.
I will make a motion that we approve this evening, as a Board of Education, the early learning plan as submitted by Mrs. Greener.
I second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Connie Archibald and a second by Wade Hyde to approve the early learning plan for the 21-22 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. All right, now we're moving into the Truth in Taxation budget hearing. So here's where we have opportunity to hear public comment about the proposed tax increase for the Box Elder School District. So I'm going to read a public comment statement. This is something we read at the beginning just so we have expectations of what the public comment is like. The floor is open at this time for any residents of Box Elder County to address the Board of Education on items pertaining to education and or the operation of the school district. Participants will be given the opportunity to address the board in the order which they have signed up. And I noticed some people walked in late, so if you still want to participate, we can get you on the list and do that. Individual presentations during this segment of the meeting are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes. Group presentations are restricted to a maximum of 6 minutes. When possible, response to the questions or comments will be provided at this time. So we're going to I'm going to just read off this in order that we go, and like I said, if you didn't get on the list to sign up, please let me know, and we'll just need to know your name and, do we need to know all that stuff too? or
No.
just- Okay, we just need to have a name for when we put this in our minutes. So, the first one I have is Deanna Hardy. And we have a microphone here if you want to come speak there, that way we can, there, thank you.
If you would, please, that's turned off, right on the top's the button.
Right there?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. As a citizen of this community, state, and country, I do not give my consent to the Box Elder School District to take more money out of my family's budget. If I had been alive when the discussion was to adopt public education, or in other words, government-controlled education, I would have wholeheartedly objected. It is wrong and immoral to force individuals to pay for a school system they do not believe in. I disagree with the Box Elder School District in entering into interlocal agreements with both the county and city's economic development program. The government is picking winners and losers in business, showing favoritism and providing protectionism. It is wrong and goes against free market principles. It causes unfairness. When the Box Elder School District agrees to these interlocal agreements, the school district waives a portion of the taxes they would receive from the new incoming business. And the waived taxes goes into paying for the infrastructure of that incoming business. Now the school district comes to the citizens asking for more money, which enables the school district more out-of-control spending. The public education system has failed in providing correct education. George Washington stated, "A primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government." In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important? And what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of the country? If we had been taught our correct history, I would not be standing before you today. There would be no government-controlled education system, and we would not be in the tyrannical government we have today. Again, the Box Elder School District does not have my consent to take more of my money. The solution to fix our education system is for parents to take back control and remove their children out of the government-controlled education system. It is the parent's responsibility to educate their children, not the government. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next one is Russell L. Scott.
Hi. I'd like to second what Deanna said. Same thing. Taxation is going to happen. We can't fight against it. If we do fight against it and we don't pay it, it gets taken from us whatever we own in the ways of our property. I do not give consent for this tax increase. I think with the amount of homes being built and the amount of arbitrary assessments on our homes, that tax basis is already going up. You don't need to add on top of that. There are a lot of people that you might think are doing good, but we aren't. We need to realize that we're still coming out of this. We're still coming out of the pandemic. We're still coming out of all the problems that are associated with it. We're still seeing problems with people and their businesses. We don't need to take other people's money under legalized plunder. Second, I had on there was a question. Back in about 2010, 2009, we voted on a $70 million bond that was put on our taxes under a different line. When and if is that ever going to be paid off? When is it going to disappear? Thank you.
Rod, you want to answer that?
The last payment on that bond is 2029. It was a 20-year bond.
It was 20 years.
And before taxes can be increased again, there'll have to be another bond election like that. The public will have to vote for it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rod. Okay, Patty Tillman.
I'm here, I agree with both of these. When I read the article, because I didn't know why it was, and I read the article, and I looked at it, You get money from the federal government, the state, from our taxes, property tax. It's just getting ridiculous because it's more money out of our pocket. I'm originally from back east. The school that I went to, my mother went to, and all my brothers and sisters. My niece, my great niece all graduated and they still have the same building. I'm watching these buildings being built and built. And neither one of my parents graduated from high school. But what I did learn from especially from my mother, is to learn to be thrifty. And I expect you guys taking the money and learn to be more thrifty instead of taxing. And my husband works in Salt Lake. People are losing their homes because they can't afford this. They're going homeless. And they're raising the prices so their taxes can go up so you guys can get more and more money. We got the federal government spending money out of control, state, and it needs to stop. The spending needs to stop. We need to be more thrifty and look out for the people as a whole. Even the cities are spending out of control. And I'm against this tax increase, and I hope you take this to heart.
Thanks for your comments. Floyd Fuller.
Gosh, I'm more nervous than all of you guys. I've never been here before, but when I got my tax notice, I didn't really look at it. I think a lot of people haven't even looked at it yet. My taxes this year doubled, so the schools portion was about $700 last year, about $1,400 this year. So the little bit extra is a little bit more. I've always supported the schools. You guys do a great job, as far as I'm concerned. All the teachers do. Whenever the teachers go to McDonald's or the schools, I go down there and buy 20 bucks worth of cookies for my grandkids. So I really support you guys. I support all the schools, but with all the homes that's been built in the county, hundreds of homes. So it's not just my taxes, it's everyone's. There's a lot more tax base that's coming in, and it just seems like when does it stop? It just seems like a lot of money. But I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Can I ask where you live?
In Garland.
Garland, okay. Some areas were reassessed, I was curious. I know Perry was one of the areas that was reassessed. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Stephen Harper.
I come to you today, I think maybe a little bit out of default, because when I got my tax notice, I obviously called the only number on the paper, and it was the auditor's office. I asked him, how can you increase my taxes over 550%? He says, well, that's not really me or us, that's the assessor's office. So I called the assessor's office, and they said, well, that's not really me, because we don't set the tax rate. So I guess my question is, who do I go to when you get a notice that your taxes on 2 acres of pasture that you kept off your farm by your house went up over 550%? They said, well, we reevaluated. You know, this economic development that we see with Procter & Gamble and Walmart, they come in and they pay an exorbitant price per acre for an alkali dry farm. And I asked him, so how does that affect my taxes that went up per acre valuation? That's just how it is. We do it every 3 to 5 years, depending. West Corinne is where I'm from. That's the one that got hit. So I guess I don't know what to do. They have a system. I hope it's a good system. I hope that who's administrating that evaluation knows what they're doing, because they're not the only ones in the room with probably a degree in economics. some of the rest of us have that too. So I just don't know. Mine isn't the amount of increase, it's the percentage. How can you go from year to year and have over a 550% increase on taxes? So my question is, who answers that? The only reason I came here is I saw a little note at the end of the line, and I guess that was for the Board of Education, about this truth in taxation. So we need some truth in taxation. And you know, most people, I think, are hesitant to ask why. Because they don't want to be singled out, they don't want to feel stupid. But there's something wrong when you pull out your tax notice, which is just a proposal. It could even be more than what the proposed one is. And it's a 550% increase. That's not right. So I don't know how you guys respond. The county didn't care. And I guess they collected for you.
Well, I was going to say, I know one of the things, and I think Rod alluded to this, is they reassess a certain percentage of properties like in a cycle. And so that percentage, when we're looking at that large percentage increase, that's because they've reassessed that particular property. So the tax rate isn't making a huge amount of difference. It's the reassessment, which we have no control over.
Yeah.
But there is I know this is from where I lived previously, but our home was reassessed, and we could, what's the word? I don't know if the challenge is the right word, but you can apply to say, we think this is an incorrect assessment.
You can contest it.
Dispute,
that's the word.
You can dispute it, but I think
Appeals.
that's what, and
It's
so
appeals about it.
appeals, yes. So that's what I think like both those, who was it, Floyd that's doubled and yours that has gone up. I'm guessing that's why is because of the economic conditions we are in and the house prices and things going up, they reassess that property to a higher rate. But I could be wrong.
Well, and most people think, well, you know, my property's, you know, has elevated. It's worth more. The only time that's good to anybody is when you sell
Right.
and move to the next town. But there's something wrong in the system. It's once every 5 years they reassess an area. I understand. If you do that and make a jump from last year to this year for 550, you better look at your system. Somebody better reevaluate, because that's just not right, you know.
I understand. Well, I appreciate your comments. Thank
The system is set up by the legislature, so you may want to talk to your legislators about, we don't collect, as values go up, we drop our rates so that we don't collect any more money because of revaluation. But on an individual basis, it works differently. I know it does.
So are you with the
that
county?
happens. No, I'm with the school district.
Okay, why does the county say every 3 to 5 years, or when we get to it, we're West Korean? I said, well, what's part of West Korean? That goes clear up to Bothwell. And I said,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with how they decide what to reassess, but a lot of that is in state tax law, written by the legislature. So
there are the problems.
I don't know who's the problem. I feel your pain. Perry was reassessed. My home value went skyrocketed. So I feel your pain, but that is just.
I hate to point at the legislature because I think they're trying to do their best, but yeah, maybe that needs to be reviewed.
Well, somebody needs to look at it just out of principle. 1 year to next to increase something from over 350%. I mean, most people, I'm not sure, I won't say it, but I'm not sure what most people would.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I'm happy to know these different areas, because I know that mine was not much at all, because I guess I wasn't reassessed, so it's kind of
So
like,
wasn't a good year to be reassessed.
What's a good year to be reassessed?
Not with the housing market.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Peter, is it Rona?
Yes, and
Okay.
I don't have the Rona.
Oh, good. So glad to hear that.
I'm from Willard. I bought a house there, built a house there 2-3 years ago, and it cost about $296,000 to build. So I brought some demonstration. There's 300,000 each one of these. Okay. Now my income happens to be, I tried to prepare, but I didn't get to prepare. Happens to be close to 50,000. That's family income. Okay. So that's half of one of these. Each one represents, hang on, 3,000. Okay. My wife's is about 20,000. I don't get to see her money. That kind of relationship we have, I pay all the bills. Okay? But when it comes to vacation, maybe I'll ask her for it. So, oh, by the way, I come from a family, excuse me, my dad had a doctorate degree. He taught communication arts, started Bonneville High School teaching French and German, and then my mom taught high school French is what she taught. Anyway, so I support teachers. I substitute taught for a year. But anyway, get back to this. Is everybody in math here? Great. Then you're going to answer my question. Okay? So, hang on. So this home was appraised. Christian, I have a special needs. Let it go. Please, we don't have time. So anyways, we have let's say I built it for 300,000. Last year they said, okay, it's 500,000. So that's great. You know, I got a house now that's worth a little bit more. Where'd my other two go?
Under your arm.
Okay. Okay. Now they say it's for 300,000. But you know what? I'm never going to see this 300. I'm going to die in that house. Okay. I'm 66. So he gets to see it. Here. That's right. Here, here. He gets to see the 300,000. All right. But I have to pay taxes now, and I'm on Social Security, so I don't know where I'm going to get the taxes from, but maybe I'll have to borrow my wife's. But anyway, and you're just talking about a minute portion. I understand that. So there's maybe 2,000. That's zero, by the way. So maybe $2,000, $3,000 taxes, but now it's gone up to $3,900. So $3,900. And you're just talking about $50, $55. You know, on a $600,000 home. But where am I going to get it from? I'm here. So here I got to understand, you want a higher percentage of our income. So when the house goes up in value, you automatically get a raise. It doubles, you know, because the house now was, I thought 300,000, but he says now this year it's 580, 590. So you get that increase there. So I've got to understand a higher percentage because I have grocery money, I have gas. Well, gas money is out of sight, so I don't know where we're going to get that from either. We'll start walking. So I've been on a diet. I lost 100 pounds since August 1st of last year. Okay, but maybe we all need to go on diets. Okay, the school too. I love the school, but maybe we need to tighten it. Use older books. I don't know. So that's what I'm trying to say is how do we get, when you get in the money, but you want a higher percentage of what money we have coming in. And I just don't understand where that's going to come from. Maybe I can donate plasma. I don't know. Maybe I can hire him out to be paid. Anyway, okay, that's it. So that just math. You help me with that. The new math, I just don't get it. So. Thank you. You're going to be rich when I die.
Okay, Rick. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe Rod could explain a little bit. Even though houses go up in value, the school district doesn't get more money off of that. And I'm going to pass that to Rod.
Yeah, it's kind of a complicated thing. I'm not sure how I can explain it, but basically what the legislature did do is they said if the value increases, you as a school district have to lower your tax rate. So our tax rate is lower than it's been for years. You know, I can't speak to every individual house, but the only increase we get is growth from new houses, not because your house went up in value.
I did not know that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So that's how the legislature did do one good thing when they did that, so that entities don't automatically get a windfall when values of homes go up. Now I can't address every individual.
No,
you know, the 550, I don't know what that is, but I can tell you that the school district, they have what they call a certified rate. We have to lower that rate as the value of the county overall goes up. So I can't talk to each house, but as that value overall goes up, we have to lower our rate.
That sucks. I mean, I don't think you guys should.
So that's part of the reason we have to go to a truth in taxation hearing, is because, so that we can keep that rate a little bit higher.
Sold property just a few years ago, and it was nowhere near $12,000 an acre. Okay? There's a moratorium on West Perrin water. You're not going to get any housing out there. What you've done is hit the farmers, is what you've done. And who can pay that kind of taxes and run a farm and make a business out of it? It's impossible.
Okay.
Well, they're all selling their land to new owners anyway, so.
Thanks for that explanation, Rod. I think
Thank you for
that
the
helps a
answer.
little bit. It is a complicated system, and it's kind of a countywide, like you said. It's not individual, but it's kind of the system set
Yeah,
up.
overall, we don't collect more money just because your house goes up in value, so.
Okay, Rick, Paul Freeman?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm a resident of Perry, so I've experienced the increase as well. But interesting, even before the increase, and Rod, I appreciate that explanation. When I was in Tremonton before, I went and talked to the county assessor and said, hey, how does this make sense? My property value actually went down, but then the price went up because they are fluctuating the rate to try to keep some balance. But it doesn't hold true 100% because it says if there's no budget increase based on my house appreciation, I go from 1,190 to 1,290. So no budget increase because of my house appreciation going up 16% in value. My taxes are going up. That $100 is 8% higher than what I'm paying last year. And then with the proposed budget amount, it goes up to 1,337. This is just for the Box Elder County School District. So that's 147 more, which is 12.4% more. I value the school system. I have 6 kids. I've been out of the state for 7 years. In 2 years I came back to Perry. I was living in Virginia, and I was excited to come back to Utah because taxes are lower. I had a $400,000 house there. I have a $400,000 house here. And the taxes there were about $4 grand, and I came here and they're about 26 grand. Well, over the last 2 years, 26 grand, sorry, 2,600. You're like, wow, that's crazy.
It's going, wow, you better protest that.
Let's get the right zero on it. So with this, and I thought, hey, it's great to come back to Utah because it's lower taxes. But now with the appreciation, they say, sure, as comments have been made, if I were to sell my house, I'd sell it more than $400,000. But I don't want to sell, I want to stay, and so there's no profit to me. But yet, when I started here, so $2,500, and now the total tax bill over 2 years, because each year they've appreciated my house, my total bill is now proposed to be $3,170. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it's at this rate in 5 years I'm going to be paying as much in taxes as I was in Virginia, because even though there's some supposed cap, well, me personally, I'm not seeing it. So that's one thing that I would ask that you guys would look at, is if you could take the whole county, what this, and maybe you can, with the proposed property values, some people are getting, doubling in value, the 500% increase because it's farmland that's now being taxed ridiculous, and say, hey, with what we want to do with the school districts, right now I have 3, 4, gotta count, I got kids on all different ages, where they are in the school. I have 4 kids in the school district, and look at what money's come in with proposed just valuations, because I know I'm paying you more, and it sounds like those in this room are paying more, and then look and say, hey, do we really need the additional tax increase when we have many people on a fixed income? I know the gentleman in the back of the room, he says, how do I get on the list? And I said, I think you guys are going to let him get on the list to speak. But he looks like he's retired. I'm sure he's on a fixed income. And so that we consider all situations. Sure, can I afford the extra $150? Yes, I can afford it, but it's $150 less that I'm putting towards my 6 kids. Is that a choice? That is a choice, but why don't you guys, I just ask that you guys consider what the appreciation of the increases before this, whether this tax increase is actually needed or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's the end of who I have signed up, so if there's other people that would like to make public comment, you're welcome to come up and just tell me your name and we can hear from you. Go ahead, sir.
I agree with everything they've said here.
Can you tell me your name first?
Jim Valdez.
Jim Valdez, thank you.
And I'm on a fixed income. I've been in my house for 40-something years. And I'm not going to move. I'm going to die there. I don't need these higher taxes. I cannot afford these higher taxes. The thing is, my general thing about this deal is we're being attacked as Americans. COVID, where the hell did it come from? Tax increase, or gasoline increase, food increase. Come on. We are being attacked. And it's got to stop. And that's all I have to say is it's getting way out of hand.
Thank you.
Mo Tomlinson.
Mo Tomlinson, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't remember the gentleman's name who returned from Virginia, but I just so there was no doubt, my information is similar to his, because we mentioned that as our prices fluctuate, supposedly, so do the taxes associated with the school district. And so my numbers would say otherwise as well. Just with no budget increase, mine would increase by 12.7% to the Box Elder School District. The school levy would go up 23.1% with no proposed increase. So obviously with the increase, they would be even higher. And then, yeah, I thought about reading that, but I'm sure we can all look it up. Just a lot of news articles going on. Everyone maybe could find their own professional, but they forecast that this market is going to continue for years in Utah. And so I don't see it going down anytime soon where we would get reprieve from that. So once again, if we add this increase to the increase that's already happening, then it does definitely make it tighter. And I know some of us mentioned with jobs, and I can say I'm fairly comfortable, but I work for the airlines, and so with the pandemic, it's been a little hairy whether or not you have a job. And so just another thing to consider, that everyone's situation is unique, and I think as long as we tighten the belts a little bit, we'll do okay. And I do have 4 kids in the school district as well. Well, one graduated, so we're down to 3. But I love the school. I think they do a great job. Have a sister and a mother that were in the school districts. But I think we're making do with what we have and need to continue to do so, at least for the near future. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
Yep. Go ahead.
Does this thing work?
Yes. It does, yes.
Really? You all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell me your name?
How many retirees are here? I'm outnumbered by you people. I'm a retiree. Low income retiree, there's a difference. Some people, when they retire, they get bonuses, whatever. But basically, who here on your board, maybe you know me, who here is a retired person? Okay. One man against all of these
Aren't we kind of outnumbered? That's not fair. But my argument is, a lot of you people don't appreciate how us retirees are being treated by the government. Okay? A lot of people don't know that. And that's what bothers me the most. The second thing that I want to understand, maybe you guys don't want to hear this, why is it morally proper for the school system to tax a man for all his life for school? Why is that morally proper? Now, I don't mind schools. I started funds for my grandkids, educational funds, okay? I believe in schools, but I don't believe it's right to tax me for the rest of my life. I already gave you people over $22,000 since I lived here in Brigham. Jesus, I mean, that's not right. Anyway, I'm an old fart. You have to excuse me.
Can you tell us your name?
I've been through a little trouble in the war. World War II.
They want to know your name.
The what?
Your name.
Oh, Erhard Posel.
Oh, okay.
Erhard, E-R-H-A-R-T, P-O-E-L-Z-L.
I spoke to you on the phone. Okay.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you talked to me on the phone?
Yeah, we spoke,
Good.
right?
God darn it. Hey, listen to me. By hell, you can't beat that. But another thing, what I want to know, there's only one representative my age, right? Only one. Is that fair? Shouldn't it be 50-50? I mean, well, 1, 2, 3. God, the women are almost outnumbering us guys. Be careful. They can get mean. They have a right to also. Anyway, what I can understand is, in the last 5 years, that's the only way I went back. And I had these figures done for me by a guy at the credit union. I'm not smart enough. I didn't finish school. Don't listen. Anyway, since the last 5 years, your school taxes to me increased 25%. Boy, how many dollars increase did you people get in salaries in the 5 years? Stop and think a minute. You know what I got? This year, 1.3% is all the government gives me. Think of that, 1.3% increase. Now how the hell can I handle that when the school taxes went up 25%? That's not very comparable there. But I know I'm an old guy, I think my way, because I grew up without electricity, without a bathroom, no food. Government fed us cornmeal to the point where I went and quit school and went to work so I can buy something decent to eat. But that's an old story. But my main problem is trying to understand why it's fair to force a guy to pay taxes for school for the rest of his life. That's what I don't understand. Is that morally correct? I guess I said enough.
Can I answer that question?
Thank you, folks.
Because they want society, children, to be more productive. That's why. So we're investing in our community. But to keep paying, I understand what you're saying. So I'm retired.
By the way, that's another thing. Us older folks, we can't mow the lawns anymore. We can't trim the bushes, plant flowers anymore. I have to pay all of this extra. That's not very little either. Anyway, old folks are in trouble.
Thanks
Thank
for coming.
you.
All right, is there anyone else that did not get on to public comment that would like to?
just have a question.
Okay. Can you tell me your name?
Lori Rasmussen.
Lori Rasmussen. Thank you.
And my question is, why now? We just came off of the pandemic where we had lower schools. We've got all the charter schools starting up, which is taking the kids out of these schools. They're still paying taxes here. We've got a large number of homes in Perry being built. Corinne, over the last 5 years, has grown a lot. So with the concept that all of the new houses are where we get the new taxes, why now? That's a good
You
question.
want to address that?
Well, I think one of the reasons that we've recommended the board to do what we're doing is we're in a very hot market for teachers. And even with this proposed raise in taxes, we are still giving a smaller raise to our teachers and our all of our support staff than our competitors, which is Cache Valley and Weber School District. And in order to stay in the market and be able to get the best teachers we can, we need to be able to stay in the ballpark. Right now, we're below both of those school districts. So that is one of the reasons we've done that, is to be able to stay competitive. Right now, you may or may not know, if you were here for the recognitions, the food service department actually has been putting lawn signs on, and that's been working for them. They posted in all of our social media to try to find people to come and work. And our bus drivers, we just don't have enough bus drivers. So in order to stay competitive, we actually had a person that drives to Logan, to drive bus in Logan. They actually have to drive to Logan, and they can still make more money than excuse me, they make here. So that's part of the reason that we proposed this raise, is to be able to try to stay competitive, to put the best people in front of your kids, the kids that are out there.
But the new homes being built don't cover that increase. We're not getting the...
No, we did get an increase, but not to the same level as other districts, because what's gone on is both Cache Valley and Weber are growing just steady enough that they get quite a few WPUs, which is basically numbers of students, that it doesn't increase a lot of their need to buy more teachers or pay for more teachers, but they just get enough more money they can spread them out. Our case is we've stayed very steady. We've been about right at 12,000 the 5 years. I've just started my 5th year. We've stayed right around 12,000 students. Okay, we haven't, in the last 5 years, we haven't started any new charter schools. They've been here, Promontory, the Bear River one. And so we haven't had any new charter schools in the 5 years I've been here. So we've been very stagnant in our growth, which it doesn't allow us to have increased funds.
One more thing. Is that student growth or population home building?
Student growth.
So that's two different things.
Yes.
We're getting more taxes from the more homes that are being built. So the taxes are coming in higher, but yet student level is staying the same. So maybe I'm not understanding, if money is coming up from new homes being built, but we're not getting any more students, why do we need more money?
Well, when we took and added up all the revenue that we got, we still weren't able to give the same raise. We gave like 1% less than one of the school districts and 3/4% less than one of the others. And I can't remember if it was Weber or Cache.
So the increase in taxes is to cover raises?
Partly. Okay, partly. The other part of it goes to facilities and buildings to try to keep up. We have a lot of old buildings in our school district, to try to keep them up to standard. You know, so and really it comes down to about $500,000 in each side. Is that correct, Rod? Mm-hmm. Our general fund is referred to as the fund that we pay for we pay for salaries, for benefits, and then the capital is what we do to try to keep our buildings up to snuff, up to code.
So do we have a public breakdown of where the money? I mean, I saw the article in the newspaper, but is that as much of a public breakdown as what we have for where this tax increase will go if it is approved?
We did put that in our budget that we did in June, but like the superintendent said, about $500,000 is going to help us maintain and build new buildings as we need them, and right now, and about $500,000 is going to help with raises and one-to-one computer learning.
But that budget is available for anybody that wants to see it. We can give it.
Yeah, I can give you a copy of the budget. Yeah, it's actually online on our website if you want to go look at it. I don't have a breakdown of how the overall taxes are for the county. So the county collects taxes for all entities, including the cities and the school district. And I don't have that breakdown. All I know is as values go up, we have to lower our rates, so we can only collect about the same number of dollars we collected the previous year.
Go ahead.
My name's Connie Harper, and I'm from West Corinne. I'm glad you brought up the county and different things. I do not understand why this county, in order to get marijuana business, gives them tax breaks. When Procter & Gamble comes, you give huge tax breaks. When, this is out in Corinne, okay? And now you've turned right around and gouged the farmers. They can't make a living on that. Why isn't Procter & Gamble and Walmart making, we know they're making millions and millions of dollars. How long do they get these tax breaks? Why are we giving them tax breaks? Let them go somewhere else if they don't want to come here. I just don't see what benefit we're getting from it, except our taxes keep going up. So that's all I have to say, sorry.
Thank you. Karen, did you have something you wanted to?
I just wanted to address something that when we were talking about the maintenance, some of the money going to maintenance. We kind of get it from both sides. A couple years ago, we had a lot of angry parents because there's not air conditioning in the buildings. So we're trying to do what we can to keep it as low as possible. And yeah, we still need it safe for our children to be in. And so we do need to maintain our schools, and that's where just less than half of the money is going to teacher salary and maintenance of buildings without being extravagant.
Thank you. And just speaking to the interlocal agreements, I think that's what you're referring to, the Procter & Gamble, we've signed agreements for a certain number of years, and we've recently redone our policy so that term is lower, and we have a little bit more, what are the words? Specific guidelines that we follow before we accept some of those things. But they still pay taxes, and so when we see the benefit, like, well, what the percent, like the dollar amount. So percentage, I can't speak to that, but that, I know that doesn't answer your question or help you, but that's one of the reasons.
I just don't understand why we keep giving these businesses that can afford it these huge tax breaks.
I don't particularly understand
I
it
just
either,
think it's ridiculous.
But they do provide jobs and make new tax. I'm not to be on your side right now, but yeah.
That's right. Well, because they provide jobs and they bring in money and they do have taxes. So there are reasons for that. Okay, is there anybody else that?
Well, with these interlocal agreements, it's being unfair because it's not a free market principle. You're showing favoritism to these businesses. And this is why we're having a problem in Utah is the government has done this economic development program. You've incentivized business to come to our state, which we are the second driest state in the country. We don't have a lot of water. So what's going to happen when you bring all these businesses and people to our state? Exactly what's happening right now. We're having a shortage of water. And now Governor Cox wants us to take out our lawns and put in dryscape. But it's like, government, what are you willing to do? Will you stop this economic development program and stop incentivizing people to come to our state, which is causing stress on everything? We need more schools. We need more roads. You need more government services, hiring sheriffs, just everything, pollution, crime.
And I think that's
caused this problem.
I think that's something that if that is a concern, I think that's, I mean, we have control when they come to us specifically, and we've tried to make that as beneficial for our district and our county as what we can, but some of those laws and the economic development, that's something that, if that's a concern, I would definitely talk to your legislators and see what you can do. And I mean, I know that's not a great answer.
You guys could say, no, we're not going to do this anymore because we can see it's harming the people and it's harming our state.
Right,
So
and we're very careful about what we're doing.
You just approved another one with this, with the county, with this inland port that's coming in. All the industrial areas, you just agreed to another interlocal agreement with them, did you not?
We did not.
We did not.
We haven't yet.
But are you considering it?
We've just heard an initial proposal. We haven't agreed to anything yet.
Because the UAC, the person, Stuart Clayson from
Stuart, yeah, has
he's
approached
talking-
us,
he's
yeah.
trying to- He said he talked to all the taxing entities, which is one of them you guys, and you guys agreed to it.
Well, he's misspoken.
Somebody
Because he spoke with me, and we actually invited him to come to our July board meeting, and he didn't come. So that's where we are on it.
And you can't go to the county and ask for a higher percentage instead of people? I mean,
Yeah, that's what we have started to make those agreements more beneficial to us by asking for higher percentages of taxes when they come in and making them pay their way.
But the problem still is it's not free markets. It's crony capitalism. The government is colluding with these certain businesses, picking which ones they want to bring in. That's not right. That's not right. And
I
you should
agree
tell
with
county
you to a certain
commissioners
extent, yeah.
and the mayors and say, what we're doing is not right and it's hurting everybody.
We actually have been in a little bit of trouble because we've started to changed our policy and we're being more strict about it. And I think the board members have gotten some pressure from some of the other entities over it. I don't know.
We're really
but-
trying to do what's best for our district and for our students and making those things. So is there anybody else who hasn't, we can't really take question and answers, that's not really the purpose of public comment, but if you do have a question, we're happy to answer by phone call or email if you have more specific things. If we don't have the answers, we can find those, and we have policies, like our income finance policy is on our website, our budget is on our website. All of those things we can make available to you. We want to be transparent and let you know what's going on.
President, could I have just a couple of minutes?
Yes, please, Rod.
I had some calls, and a couple of them couldn't attend. It looks like Earhart came, so I told him I'd give his comments, but he's done his own.
Okay.
I had a call from Val Bennett, who said he couldn't make it. His feelings were a lot in line with what other people have mentioned. He says that he doesn't want to see the money spent frivolously, and he says he hopes we're not building a field house. He specifically said that. I heard from Boyd Montgomery. His was basically the same comment. I believe, if I remember correctly, he's retired. He's concerned about paying taxes on a fixed income. And I heard from Larry Jensen, basically the same. He is concerned about paying taxes on a fixed income. And so I promised those that I would make their comments because they weren't able to be here tonight.
Thank you,
So,
Rod, I appreciate
thank
that.
Ask one quick question. The money you guys are making on that building from Corinne School, what's happening to that?
The Corinne School?
Yes, that you guys sold.
that whole $350,000.
Yeah, so
Where's that going?
it's just going into the general budget. That's,
It's going into capital.
It'll go back into capital to help maintain buildings. Yeah.
okay. Karen?
Just a note, those that are on fixed income, the county does have a program. You can go on their website, and if you fill out a form and you qualify, then your taxes can be abated to a degree.
A little louder.
There's a form on the county website that you can go and fill out, and if you're on a fixed income, depending on if you qualify based off the information you give to the county, some of your taxes can be abated. So that is an option for those that are on fixed income, and especially those over 65.
Thanks for pointing that out, Karen.
Ms. Taylor, I just have
Yes.
one real brief. I appreciate that you let us all make comments. And the question I have, and I think everyone here probably has as well, is with us, the public comments, are you doing it to really get our input and decide whether to go forward, or are you doing this to meet public policy and regulation and then just go forward?
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. And I will tell you, there are several of you here representative, but there are also several hundreds that are not here that we haven't heard from. So we want to hear concerns, we want to hear what's going on, and I'm happy to hear from those that have had I want to know where those areas are and what's going on, and I think we all, and the other board members can speak to this if we want, but we are sincere in wanting to know. But we also have this other portion that we're looking at saying, we've got to make some hard decisions about funding for our buildings, and like the superintendent talked about, making sure we have good teachers and support staff and providing them with the salaries that are competitive so we can keep those good teachers. Every year we lose some teachers to other districts because of salary, and so there's a lot of factors to consider. So, you know, it's hard because we have this truth in taxation and then we vote on it right after. And so it kind of makes it a little bit like, are you really sincere, you're just going to do this? And I don't know how to combat that or whatever, but I personally am grateful for comments, and I want to hear what people have said. And I've talked to constituents that are not here that I come in contact with and try to get their opinions, and so that's my experience. Karen, did you want to?
I was just going to say, I agree that this meeting should probably be held before the budget is put in, but the meeting itself is dictated by the state. I think that the meeting Truth in Taxation should be held before the budget is put together. Again, we're holding the meeting to meet state guidelines at the time the state told us to meet it, to hold it.
One other comment, if I can make it, as I was putting the budget together, I actually recommended a higher tax increase. Your board cut the tax increase in half, and I went back and cut other things. So we have tightened our belt. I need to go on more of a diet too.
My doctor.
Yeah. Anyway, we've tightened our belt. You need to know that your board cut the original recommendation that I made in half. And so they are concerned about taxes and how much they were going to increase for people.
Yes.
Just a quick comment to go along with what Rick said and what you mentioned, and so that Rod doesn't get writer's cramp by having all the people called. I did make copies of a notation stating that this meeting was going to happen, and went around my neighborhood and handed it out to people to let them know that there was going to be a tax increase. Of course, at every one of those doors that I handed it out to, I was just being the messenger, but I got chewed out. And I had to keep telling people, no, I'm on your side. Take the paper and I'll go to the next house. So there was many, many more people. And I looked around here to see if any of them were here, and they're not.
Yeah.
So, Rod, I'm not going to send them to have them call you, so you have to run all the.
That's okay. I've got big shoulders, but
Okay, but to let you know,
appreciate
there
that.
are people out there that know about this, but they have other things going on in their life and they couldn't be here.
Yes, we appreciate it. Thank you for making that people known. And I would love it if we had to have the board meeting in an auditorium. You know, I want public input. We want to hear what people have to say, and I appreciate you being here and for your comments. Thank you. Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns from the board?
I might just add, and I called Rod today and I says, as a citizen, I am not happy. My taxes really went up. So I think each one of us feel this tax increase too. And as Rod said, we cut it back as much as we could and still try and stay competitive and keeping good teachers and good support staff here with our kids. And so I want you to know that we're not taking this lightly, but we've seen the numbers. We know what needs to be done in order to keep a quality education in our district.
Comment I'll make too on the Virginia comment is if you look at the amount of kids they have in Virginia compared to how many kids we have, and Utah does a pretty darn good job of educating the amount of kids we have. So the fact that our tax rate is lower is pretty darn impressive, I think. But I also feel the pain and my tax increase on my home as well. Every one of us do, so we feel that too.
Did you delay the school from opening until the 30th because of the heat? I mean, air conditioning? I'm just curious. You did? Good
I would
thought.
say Box Elder County
The
Fair
fair is the main
drives
drive.
our calendar more than anything else.
Yeah.
Could I add one more thing that you may not be aware of? This increment funding that you are part of comes from the United Nations Agenda 21. It's the plan to increase property values, so it makes it so high that people can't afford to buy land or buy houses. So be aware that you are part of the United Nations Agenda 21. You are helping this evil, wicked agenda.
For the reset.
Yes, the Great Reset.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks for pointing that out. Okay,
With that, I would make a motion that we approve the tax rate that has been set with heavy hearts, I might add, and this rate includes a certified tax rate of .000182, and the overall rate, including the charter school, will be .006842 if the increase is approved.
okay, have a motion by Karen
I'll second.
and a second by Brian to accept the tax rate for the 22 tax year with those numbers that she said, 006842 as presented. Any questions, comments from the board? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. If you're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of our meeting, but we have information items that we're going to be talking about construction, which may be of interest to you as far as, because this is where we're spending some of our money, you might want to know what's going on. You're welcome to stay. If not, thank you for coming.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your comments. Okay, our next item is our construction report from Corey.
Yeah, did you follow that?
Yeah.
Okay. Just make it, if you want to bring it
Yeah,
up. Do you want me to use the microphone? I don't want to stand in front of where you're looking, but I can do that if you want.
I really need you, Corey, to use the microphone because
Gotcha.
when we post these online, we can translate the audio. You're fine.
I was trying to do a little comic relief. I'm trying to follow a tough subject. Okay, so for those who are still in the meeting that have concerns over the taxes, so that you're aware, we do try to maintain our buildings for as long as we can. So that you're aware of some of the price tags, we're putting a new roof on Bear River Middle School this year, and it's over $300,000. We're doing parking lots to try to keep them maintained. That can be, on average, $200,000. And so this that they're talking about, the $500,000, that would cover a new roof and a new parking lot. And so we are trying to do that wisely. I don't know if that helps, but sometimes just to understand the full picture. So the construction update, if we can go to next one.
Maybe.
We'll start with Golden Spike Elementary. So they have paved the north parking lot already at that site, and the reason is there's not enough on-site parking for all the construction workers that come there, and so they're parking in the neighborhoods. So the idea is to get the workers' vehicles to park there. We're trying to be a good neighbor in that way. The next picture, this is as if you were walking in the front door, which the front door is on the north. So this is looking south through that main hallway that becomes the commons area. And I drove by there again today. I took these pictures on Friday. I drove by there again today, and they have more of the structure up. So so the roof girders are in there. Below that, they do have the landing started as to where they will access the second floor. So there, if you can see right by the gentleman in kind of a plaid shirt and a gray helmet or hard hat, there are some bolts there sticking out of the ground. Those are temporary to hold up the walkway, and then that's going to be suspended actually from the ceiling. And so that's kind of the scale of how that building is. This is the commons area, and it is looking north back toward the office. This is the southeast corner, and so if you remember the old Bunderson building, this is just past the parking lot. So about where the play equipment was on the old Bunderson building, looking north. And what you're looking at there is actually the receiving area. So the back door of the kitchen, the custodial area, the mechanical area of the building is what you're looking at here. Where the cranes are on your right side is the gym. That's the back wall of the gymnasium. The next picture. So they already have started installing the air handlers. There are 3 air handlers in the building. This is one of them. And for scale, those doors that you can see, those are large enough that you walk into the air handler to maintain and to change out filters. So it's massive. It's the size of a room. As far as the timeline, last month I reported that they estimate they're about 2.5 months behind schedule. They estimate that they're still about there. They don't think they've lost any additional time, but they haven't gained any back necessarily either. Nearly all the materials are in short supply. As we are in our weekly construction meeting, the architect and the contractor, they just scratch their heads. They've never seen anything like this in the economics. We are discussing renting some large containers in order to acquire finished materials right now and store them, because the architect mentioned that there was a job that he's working on down in the Salt Lake area that it was on schedule, and 2 months before they were to be done, it just fell apart because they could not get the finished materials. So they are looking at some ways that we can hopefully circumvent any additional delays and hopefully even make up some time. The progress made is due to starting and ordering when we did. If we would have been 2 or 3 months later than we were, we'd be in a real mess right now.
So with the 2.5 months behind, are you still thinking we can make our start time next year?
Crossing my fingers, yes. We're yesterday in director's meeting, we were talking about that we need to set a date that if it's not finished by that date, we're not going to be able to move in for the first day of school. And if that becomes the situation, we'll work with the administration, the staff at those buildings to determine when then would be the next available time that we can move in and be the least possible disruption to the education. We did that with Sunrise. We moved in later than was anticipated, and we actually moved into the building later than what we had occupancy for, and the reason is we had to pick a time that was the least disruptive to the educational environment.
The one thing that I would just add that we're concerned about if we are delayed is we're merging 2 schools together, which means I'll be working on staffing 2 schools into one. And so if you take weird numbers that happen, you might have 20 in 2nd grade, you might have what I'm gonna say, maybe 25 in another grade. Anyway, my point is we might be a little light in one grade, but I'm gonna staff, let's say 75, I'm gonna have 3 teachers. But if 40 of those are in one school and 30 are in the other, we may have had 4 teachers, but we're gonna go down to 3. So it could be problematic from a staffing standpoint if we don't hit our target. Or we have to limp along for a year and be a little heavy and then make it work after that. So we'll monitor that, but that would be my one concern from a staffing standpoint if we don't make it, because we got to staff like they're together. But we may, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Other than that, I guess we'll see what else.
Yeah, and really they are working as hard, but as creatively as possible to do all they can to make up that time. So, and I've alluded to that or mentioned that on some of the previous updates. Anything else on Golden Spike Elementary before we move on? Okay. So, district projects, I included this last month on the update that I turned in to you. We do have about 37 projects right now that we're doing in the district. There are a few in the wings that have been approved that I have not included on this, because I want to see what happens with all of these before we keep going forward with everything else. I don't need to waste your time on going through every single line item on that, but if you have some specific questions, well, I'm going to guess, I'm not a mind reader, but I'm going to guess that one of the questions people would have is on the turf. I don't know if that was on anybody's mind, but I just got an update on that this morning because I knew that could be a question. Field Turf, the company, for those not aware, this is in Bear River High School. Field Turf is the company, is on site leveling the field and prepping for all materials. The turf will be delivered August 23rd is their estimate. They're also going to install the goalpost sleeves. So, delivered on the 23rd. We'll kind of see how that plays out as to whether or not it will be done by the end of September, which was the best case scenario projection last January.
Can I ask a quick question? That's probably totally wrong and I probably shouldn't. Is that, like, can you get sponsors for that, or does the school district have to pay for that?
No, that's a really good question.
Have to pay for
the turf.
Like for sports, can they get?
In fact, Connie, do you want to? They know better a little bit than I do, but.
Okay, let me answer your question. Okay, we have at the north end of the county, we have some wonderful citizens that own businesses. They're the ones that came forward and said, we would like to donate this amount of money for this purpose.
Sure.
These citizens, I would say they kind of grouped together.
Okay.
They had a desire because we are kind of at a shortage of having places for the youth to play sports and such.
Yeah.
So this group of individuals got together and said, we want to donate this much money within a certain amount of years. And we want to donate that to the foundation, which is kind of matching funds. So the answer to this is yes.
Awesome.
We have some citizens at the north end of the county that have come up with some substantial amounts of money to make it happen.
And you guys are like, sweet, good, we can do it.
We would have,
because
the district itself
not be able to do it.
would have never, I would say never thought to do this.
Okay.
But it was citizens who said,
Perfect.
we want this in our valley. We want this, and that's where they wanted to put their money.
Perfect.
And so, what do you say to somebody that has this
Absolutely.
great
I think
idea,
it's great.
right?
I think it's great.
And so, no, did the district? No, they did not.
So could that still be true with the field house in Brighamton?
They could get a sponsor.
Absolutely.
You gotta get to it.
Absolutely.
Let's get to it.
But I will add that if you remember many years ago when we bonded and we built, we added to our high schools, we took some parts down, added some things. We had so much money. Each school was given so much money. And each school decided how to spend that money. And if you'll remember, and I think that Box Elder High School is amazing with the arts. We all know that. Well, they decided to use their money to make that arts, that auditorium, that arts magnified. And I don't blame them. At the north end of the county, the citizens got together and decided, we want to have a field house. That's where we want to put our money. And so there was a significant amount of people that got together on the north end of the county that said, we're going to drive this. We want this bond to pass. Did the bond pass? It did. And the reason it passed is because the north end of the county wanted that field house so much that people went to the booth and voted yes. Because it was so important. Now we're finding out it's so valuable because you know who uses that field house? Citizens, every morning or many mornings. And then Box Elder comes and uses it too in the evenings occasionally, a couple of times, maybe once a week. So it's shared a little bit, but we're finding out how valuable it is. And you know what? The arts center that you have here at Box Elder High School, it's invaluable. We don't have that. What you have, we don't have that on the north end, not to the magnitude that you have. It's just, it was choices.
It's choices. Well, it's good to know that you can't get or it's good to work.
Thanks for sharing that, Connie.
And good, you know, and get to work.
Yeah,
Yep, exactly.
Because, like, where are the parents? This should be packed.
It should be packed.
Overfull, you know, like,
That's what we
start.
And I think that's true. I think you get a group of wonderful citizens and parents that want to improve something, and you can do marvelous things.
I agree completely. Thank you so much. I'm
Thanks.
sorry to take away.
Thanks for that detour.
Sorry.
What the greenhouse is? Because that seems
Yes.
a little
Yes, so Park Valley has a current greenhouse. I would equate it to a little Quonset hut. Park Valley is a K-10 school, and so they begin their high school years in Park Valley, and part of that curriculum is CTE.
They're the ones that are way.
They're way out. They're not way. They're just way out.
Grouse Creek's way.
Grouse Creek's way.
Wait.
Yeah, and so they do so much with that greenhouse curriculum. And a year ago, that Daryl Eddington was at that time the CT director, and he was able to get a grant to purchase the greenhouse.
That would be nice to have additional boxes with like price tags and like where the money's coming.
Yeah.
Do
So
that next time.
So
okay.
the greenhouse purchase, it's a kit basically. It's a big erector. It's a big erector. Okay.
Greenhouse
And so
yard. I'm assuming there's a bigger than mine.
yeah, I think this one's 16 by 24.
Oh, yeah, mine's a little smaller, but not.
So it's the right size for that size of school. So that was already purchased, but as we got into it, it's more involved than just saying to the teacher, get some students and put it together.
Can I come help build it?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I had so much fun building that thing.
Yeah. So this installing. Yeah. This install includes bringing the water into it, bringing propane into the heater. It includes pouring the concrete pad with some.
But it was a grant.
So the grant was for the for the purchase of the greenhouse. This part, we delayed the build for a year so that we could fit it into the budget this year for the install.
I just wonder if we have so many capable people in, just like County was saying, like we get together, we could build it with volunteers. Like, I don't understand why some of these things are so much money because we're having to pay somebody to build it when we have so many capable people. Like, can we think a little bit outside the box? when it
Well,
comes to
yeah,
this
and I
stuff?
think that's one of the things that we do is and it's not on this report, but when Corey proposes this at the beginning, it does have all the price tags of everything, how much it's gonna cost. And so a lot of this is built into the budget because we have people that we are district employees that are doing some of this work and doing some of these things. That's just one of the projects they're working on. So, but we are all for involvement and suggestions. So.
I don't know. And maybe, yeah, you're right. More people need to be here. More people need to be aware. But how can we get where we're more involved in with some of this stuff?
Come to board meeting.
Yep.
I'm here.
Do what you're doing.
Every
And-
month.
Trying to figure it out.
And I know that a lot of people, the way they get involved is if they have children in the school, they're going to be involved in school community council, they're going to be involved in the PTA. If they have children in extracurricular activities, then they join, okay, my mind just went blank, booster clubs, so the parent side of the children being in school is how a lot of people get involved, and then they can be aware of some of these things.
Well, that's a good report, Corey. Is there any questions from the board about any of those items? I really appreciate you putting it together every month, what's going on with our building projects. And like I said, when was it that you give us, is that in June?
So,
I can't remember. Where you have, and you list them you list them by priority. So
Yeah,
if you're here every month, you'll see it. So you'll have like this is like needs to be done for the safety of the students. This is a good to do, and this would be nice to have if it's in the budget. So
It's got a green, yellow, and
green,
red.
yellow, red,
Yeah.
yeah. This
So
is very helpful for us.
our timeline is, in order for us to be able to start the summer projects on time, that's why I've started coming to you in about March for that approval, because then once we get that approval, if we get that approval, then we can start that process of design and bid and get everything in line for that short window of time that we have.
Thanks, Corey.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Rod, our monthly financial report.
Yes. Well, July we save a lot of money because we're not paying teachers, nobody's in school, so you'll see that that we haven't spent very much in July. If you look at page 3, we spend about $1 million a year to buy buses. And we would like to save money, but guess how old the buses we're selling out are? They're 15 to 17 years old. We kind of get nervous because there are a lot of there are always new safety features on the new buses. So I don't know how long the public would like us to drive old buses, but we're driving 15 to 17-year-old buses right now. Just a comment, one thing we do to try to save money. Other than that, and that was highlighted because I plan on dividing that bus order and putting some in capital. With the extra tax money, we'll have a little bit of money we can put.
What number's that? Carrie's just getting.
That's page 3. Down there, it's highlighted in yellow. And then on down, we've ordered in advance some lunch tables and lunch equipment. We had a unique situation last year with COVID. We had to spread out kids. We didn't have enough lunch tables, so we have ordered a few more in case we need to do that again this year, in case we need to do more social distancing. Those are the only 2 things I really highlighted in this month's financial report. So.
Okay, thanks, Rod. Board, do you have any questions for Rod? All right, our COVID-19 plan, Superintendent.
Okay, you've probably, been very interested in what's going on in the world with COVID and the way things have come down with our new COVID response plan. As we sent out information last Friday to the school district, last year we had a return to learn plan that had to be approved by the school board. This year it was taken out of the school board's hands. And so how it works is the local health department, which is the Bearville Health Department, is the Northern Utah Health Department. We're in association with Cache Valley School District, with Logan School District, Ridge School District, and then Box Elder School District. We're all the Bear River Health Department region. And we met with that group. It's been, I think, a week or two ago. It's been a week and a half. And Julie went with us, and Gary was there, and Keith was there, and we went over and we all met together with the health department. The state health department made recommendations on what they think we should do, and we followed basically their plan. And how this works is that once we put this into place, the legislature passed a bill that would not allow a mask mandate. And so there cannot be a mask mandate, and it puts in there explicitly by a school district. The only way there can be any type of a mask mandate is if the local health department orders a mask mandate, then it has to be approved by the entity that's in charge or in control of that. In the case right now, if you listen to the news, tomorrow at 2 o'clock there's going to be a vote at the Salt Lake City Council, their City Council, to approve the mandate that their health department director is proposing, and that's a K through 6th grade mask mandate. And the rationale she has was because they don't have the ability to become vaccinated. So the City Council in that case will vote. In the case of Box Elder School District, because we're a county school district, it has to be voted on by our county commissioners. If the executive director got to the point where he felt like he needed to order a mask mandate for some reason. And so that's the mask mandate, and then the county commission is the one that votes on it. You may have seen the newspaper today. They had an article about that, and the county commissioners weighed in on it. When I sent this response plan out to the community, I sent it out to our school board first. The next group that I sent it to was our county commission, acknowledging the fact that they're the ones that really are going to be the ones who control any type of a mask mandate. For the rest of the plan, most of it is all recommendations. We are doing our best to try to mitigate it. Corey talked to the directors yesterday. We're talking about using some of the same protocols that we did last year. One of the things that we were mandated to do last year was teachers had to clean in between each class, and they had to clean desks in between each class in the secondaries. Now there's not that mandate, and so we're cleaning, but we're not cleaning probably to the same extent. And I think the research has shown that there's not as much transmission from surface to hands to your face as previously thought. Most of it is in direct contact with somebody who has the virus. So a couple of things that are going to be an issue. If somebody tests positive in a classroom, last year we took and did what they called contact tracing. The teacher had his lesson plan, his seating chart. Thank you. His or her seating chart, and everybody in a 6-foot circle around that person was contacted, and they were told that they would have to quarantine. And that was for the part of the year. Later on, they were able to test and it lined up. This year, what we have to do is, if a student in a classroom tests positive, or an adult, could be the teacher, could be an aide, then we have to contact, we're going to send a blanket email with the acknowledgement that someone in your classroom tested positive. Now, we've had a lot of discussions about that. We cannot say who that was. That's a HIPAA violation. So it's going to be, well, I wonder who it was. Well, we all know in high schools, kids will probably know who it is real fast. But in the case of an elementary, all we can do is send it home to the parents, say, there was somebody in your child's classroom that tested positive. Here are the recommendations. And some of the recommendations are, if we'd like you to wear a face mask for 10 days to see if you test positive. If you want to wear a face mask for 7 days and then have a test, then you can. It's a recommendation.
And keep in mind that if you already regularly wear a mask, then
Yes.
you just continue that. Or if you've had COVID in the last 90 days, or if you're vaccinated. So
Yes.
for example, if a secondary student is vaccinated, then there are no recommendations. They should be good to go. But the recommendation for those that have not been vaccinated or don't fall into those, it would be either stay home in quarantine for 10 days, or come to school wearing a mask, or just what the superintendent says. But again, it's a recommendation.
You still can't ask if they're vaccinated, and you cannot ask.
No, the
they've had
parents are in
COVID.
charge. The parents are in charge of deciding. They're going to get the notification, and this is the parents' responsibility and decision what they're going to do. So if my 6th grade daughter comes home, then I get to decide, do I want to send her to school in a mask? Do I just want to send her to school, or do I want to keep her home for 10 days? And I get to make that decision. We recommend, and me personally, I would probably send her to school in a mask because I don't want her home for 10 days, but I also want her to be safe. So that's a personal choice one.
Probably one other thing is the situation where they have the numbers that if you have 30 students in a classroom under 1,500 students, and the only 2% above that. Right now, Box Elder High has 1,500. So they'd be the only one that tested 2%. So they'd be 31 maybe. If 30 kids or adults in that building they are tested positive for COVID, then we have to do what's called test to stay. And then everyone that wants to go back to school is supposed to do a test. If they do have a COVID shot, they can show and not have to test in order to come back. Once again, it's a recommendation.
Yeah, because test to stay is now illegal.
Yes. But they, if you read the legislature, they still allow it to happen. But it's still a recommendation that you don't have to come back. And it's just for those who like to be able to test. The Bear River Health Department has a mobile unit. They'll come in, take care of it. Right now, we just talked to the Bear River Health Department today and I'm sorry that we haven't had that email sent to us yet, but at Bear River High School, 2 days a week, there will be testing set up for anybody who'd like to get tested that's a student or a staff member. And at Box Elder High, there's 2 days a week. They're the opposite days. It's Monday and Wednesday for one of them. Apologize right now, I don't know which that is because that email didn't get sent. They just showed it to us on the screen. And then it's Tuesday and Thursday for the other schools. So we'll get that out to people, so if they want to test, they'll be able to test and find out if they have have the virus. Just an FYI, we had to already put this into place for our adults. The last 2 days we've had our elementary academy, and yesterday we had the K2 teachers all in that room over there. I would guess 100 to 150.
It was 130.
130. And one person didn't feel very well, went and tested last night, found out they were positive. So we've had to send an email out to all those folks and tell them they were in a room, and it's actually 3 rooms that have doors in there that had somebody positive, so they may want to follow some of those recommendations. And once again, we can't tell them who that was. And so, word of mouth gets out there and everybody goes, oh boy, I sat by that person for half an hour, but we can't say who it was. So, but it's all about transparency and letting everybody know that they possibly had been exposed. And so, to date, I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of rhetoric across the state. I will tell you that the CDC recommended mask wearing on the bus, and right now there is some discussion, and we're hoping like crazy that that mandate and the legislature doesn't let that happen. I'll be honest with you, because I don't want to fight that fight. Wear a mask on the bus, come to school, take the mask off, and it just is a tough situation. So I don't know, there was a little bit of alarm today, Gary, would you agree that was discussed? Because the superintendents actually met about 2 weeks ago, it would be 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and we met with the state health department. And at that time, that recommendation was made to the superintendents in the state of Utah, 41 districts. And we said, that's not going to work, and they checked with legal and actually found out that it's still more of a state legislature control versus the national CDC. So other than that, be willing to take questions, but it's all on every one of our, it's been sent out to all parents, it's on our webpage, it's on Facebook, and so we tried our best to get it out. And at the bottom of the page, you all saw that we have Bear River Health Department's logo, Box Elder School District, Cache, Logan, and Rich. And our hope and our goal is that we could have consistency throughout the state. But every health department is quite a bit different. And as you know, Salt Lake City has a different approach than certainly Box Elder County, and Wayne County down there, Washington County, Kane County. A lot of those folks, have just different areas and they have different needs. And so I think the fact that they put this in the hands of the local elected officials is the best way to go.
Are drinking fountains going to be on, and are the kids allowed to use lockers? Because those are two things that never got tried last year.
Corey.
Do you want me to address the drinking fountain?
Yeah.
What I'm telling the principals and head custodians is we need to have the drinking fountains available because kids need water, but we have signs for the drinking fountains that say this is a bottle filling station, and we are slowly getting bottle filling stations all throughout the district, but then, and that's what we talked about last year too, but for some reason some schools still covered them. But it's a bottle filling station. Please do not drink out of it, because the problem is then if a kid slobbers or spits or sucks on the nozzle or whatever.
So children are having to carry 5 pounds of water in their water bottles, or 3 pounds, or however, in their backpacks. Well, some of those bottles that kids have are pretty heavy, and they're having to carry the water bottles around, and my teenagers stopped. They literally stopped drinking water at school.
I'm sorry. But
the bottle filling, so they will have them open for bottle filling stations.
Yes. Yes, and my daughter's a high school student. She carries her water bottle everywhere.
Yeah. All my kids did.
And not every kid does.
And so they don't have to have a huge water bottle. It can be one of these little disposable water bottles that's just small.
Yeah. Again, I think we're trying to follow health and safety guidelines, and it's a lot. We're leaving up to parents to choose how they want to.
So lockers, are they?
I don't know. I haven't heard about.
We haven't had that discussion, but we'll make sure we get that information out.
I would think we are really in a position with what we're doing with the wands that we still have, that we can bring back lockers. But
I just shoot from the hip, I would say yes.
Yeah,
We'll make sure we get that information.
We'll have that conversation. Good question, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions, members from the board, about our COVID-19 plan?
Just a couple things. First of all, students, there may be some students that just prefer to wear a mask.
Absolutely.
And I think that we just got to be made aware that those students shouldn't be discriminated against or made fun of or anything like that, because that they may just feel more comfortable doing that, and they should be able to do that.
Yes.
Another thing, I think these guidelines are a great start. I really do, and hopefully things won't get worse. I'm really hoping and praying they won't get worse. But if they do you think the health departments will look at these again, Superintendent?
Oh, certainly. I mean, Jordan Mathis, who came just last month, he said they have reports. They still have the COVID dashboard. If there gets to be a hot spot, basically, he said when we get about 10 cases, they're going to contact us. We'll have a discussion, find ways to mitigate it, to try to do more cleaning, whatever we need before we ever get to that 30. So it's ongoing. We meet with them weekly, and they're just really very mobile to be able to make things happen on a quick basis. And I think, you know, if the need comes, I think that he would, you know, if something went really crazy numbers-wise, I think that he'd be willing to, you know, I'm speaking in his behalf, but I think something could happen. However, as soon as he would do that, it would need to immediately be approved by county commissioners.
Right, I understand that. I understand that.
So that's very fluid, and you know, he's going to stay on top of it. We had a great discussion today, and yes, Gary.
I think one thing, Wade, that is really good about that meeting is there's representation from every school district. They've added on charter schools. They add all of the representatives from the health department, which is the epidemiologist. They have all of that team there, and I think today is an example of conversations where there is listening going on. A couple of the suggestions the health department made, the school district just said, that is very problematic, we really can't go there. And so we have that kind of discussion. They ask for our input, and then we know where they're going to have to be on the rules from the state and the guidelines that they give. So it's really a meeting where there's good, positive discussion.
Okay, that's
so
good.
I think we'll have that. When you say if there's concerns, we have those conversations.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thanks, Gary. And I think one of the things, what you mentioned, Wade, we're, like last year, we had the few that were not masked, and now this year we're gonna have the few that are masked. I think if we send the message that everybody, this is a personal choice, and it is not okay to make fun of or ridicule or argue about certain things, where parents have a lot of responsibility this year. And we're in the business of educating children. And we want them there, and we want them healthy, and we want them able to learn. And so we're doing everything we can, and I think the health department, that one meeting that I sat in, I thought it was a really good conversation. The public health, their concern is public health. You know, we all kind of have our little niche. This is like education. I'm an educator. I see the education viewpoint. I don't always see the public health viewpoint. And so I think as we're working together, I really appreciate the conversations that are happening. And as a district, and I know our principals and our teachers and those that are in the schools are really making an effort to make student learning the priority. And we're doing everything we can in a very unique time to make sure they're still learning. And we saw even in a pandemic, one of our schools had increased scores. So there's lots of good happening, but we do want to keep our students' safety and health and our teachers' safety and health in mind. Okay.
I have a question, if I can, please. I hear Mr. Carlson say at the beginning that the COVID response has been taken out of your hands and given to the health department.
Well, in conjunction with the county officials. So the way it works is the health department, if there's a big hot spot, we have an outbreak and the health department says, this is serious, we have a lot of infections, we need to mitigate this, then they make the recommendation to either have a mask mandate or to shut down the school or some of those things. Then they have to go to the county commissioners to have that approved. So without both of them.
They make a recommendation to the county, and the county approves.
Correct.
As to what they're
For our particular, because we're a Box Elder County School District.
And this board doesn't come in anywhere, doesn't vote on that anywhere.
No.
That's nice for you guys.
I don't know.
They actually, it's part of the legislation that the board cannot do a mask mandate.
So
I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
Oh, we're hoping and praying for the best. I certainly am. That this is just gonna. I mean, I think there will always be some kind of sicknesses, but if we can get through this. So, all right, let's move on to our policy review. We just have a couple of policies on second reading. Were there any questions, comments from the board about those?
Make a motion, we accept policies on second reading.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Karen Cronin and a second from Brian Smith to accept policies on second reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent items. Are there any questions on those from the minutes, the claims, the personnel, or the 150-mile trips? Are those all clear?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items as listed, G1 through 4.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Connie Archibald and a second from Tiffany Summers to approve the consent items as listed 1 through 4. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. Any suggestions for future board meetings? If you look at our document, there's things that we have listed coming up.
I would like to discuss the comment that was made, and Karen kind of alluded to it, a frustration that a lot of us as citizens have with government is, well, they've already made up their mind, and you know, why am I? We had a lot of good comments and people coming here, and I'm feeling like we have already made the decision when they come here, because we're voting on it, you know, 3 or 4 minutes after they've made the comments. Is there a way we can, I don't know, Rod, if there's a way we can hold a comment session a month or 2 earlier so that we can, I mean, I am considering what was said for future, you know, budget discussions, but really it puts us in a tough spot as a board to do it this way.
Yeah, like Karen said, it's stipulated by the law
Right.
that we have that open, that we set our budget hearing for
But can
truth
we have
in
a pre-meeting
taxation.
to the meeting?
But yeah, we could, maybe what we need,
You can always have a public meeting. You can always just
We
hold
do
a
have
Yeah.
public meetings and before the budget.
You just
we
have
do
to allow the.
we had a
Community
budget,
know
but
about
in the future, I think it may not be a bad idea to advertise that the budget would include a tax increase and allow people to come and comment on that. And then that gives us a couple of months.
Right.
Gives people a couple of months. But still, the problem is getting the information out to the people.
Right.
Because people don't get excited till they
Till
see
they
their
actually see it.
Right,
tax
that's what I was saying.
notices.
The
Yeah.
tax notice doesn't come out until, is that?
Until
They don't know
it
their
has,
specific-
tax notice has to be out by the 1st of August.
And we
And
have
we
to
have-
say, we have to hold this meeting in this.
Yeah, in
comments
this
that-
way.
In that way.
But maybe in the future,
Don't we
we
have to have a preliminary budget by May? And then we finalize the budget. in-
the preliminary budget has to be on file 10 days before approval. And so it's usually done at the end of May, and then the board approves it at their board meeting, which is typically the second
It sounds like
Wednesday.
it's set up to fail.
So that.
It sounds like it's set up to fail. Like, there's no way for us to know the information in order for you guys to know the information. in
Well,
order
one
for
of the
all
things
us to
is,
know.
I
Like,
think the specifics for individuals, we don't know that, but we do know like a tax increase. We don't know what the assessors are gonna assess a home at. We're doing our best to, and we could add that like we can,
The only information I get is the average
yeah.
taxable value of the house in Box Elder County.
Right.
$330,000. Everybody's gonna go, I know it's more than that, but that's what I get. And so I calculate that, and the tax increase that the board approved on an average home is $35 a year, roughly $35 a year. Well, we had a lot of people here tonight
It's a
that
lot
told
higher
us
than
that
that.
it's a lot higher than
Well, and
that.
I think that goes to, that's not us, right? That's the assessors, the assessment.
There's something going on with assessing, and I plan on talking to the auditor and assessor to try to understand what happens with individual homes. All I know is that our tax rates used to be up in the 80s, it's down in the 60s now. So as value goes up, tax rate goes down. And so we tax at a lower rate as value is higher. So we're not getting windfalls like everybody believes we are, you know. But I think maybe we could take a look at our budgeting process and see if there's a way when we're gonna, we only increase, the last tax increase was in 2017. And so we kind of forget by the time we get, you know, because we don't do it very often.
Right.
We don't increase taxes very often. But the frustrating thing for people receiving their notices, including me, is even though we probably won't do a tax increase next year, they'll see an increase on their taxes, and it'll it'll be, say that the school district is increasing their taxes, and so I need to understand overall how that whole system works, and I'll try to find that
So is that
out.
something that we want to have like in a work session, like a discussion on that, or is that something that?
So to Brian's point, the time that would be beneficial, I think, to us is to have that preliminary budget done in May, so we could discuss it in our May meeting and advertise that out to the community, because it's in June when we have to make that decision for the budget.
Yeah, and I think I think what Rod said, and I think we should do that, I agree. But what he said is there's an average house, so like on an average house, it's gonna increase your $35. So people are gonna say that, oh, that's not a big deal, and then you get your tax bill in August.
Right, but we can't control that.
Well,
What
right,
we-
exactly.
What we can control, I think it would be better for
Part-
us to have that information in May.
For me to have a budget the beginning of May is really tough because I don't have enough information typically in order. We haven't even hired all of our people. I mean, it's kind of a big guess anyway. I can give you a big guess, but it's a worse guess the 1st of May than it is the 1st of June.
Well, could we do it
I
in
guess
June
all
in
I'm
conjunct-
saying.
And do we have to approve it in June?
Yeah,
Yes.
It has to be approved.
And we do
So-
we do have a public hearing in June.
Yeah.
Once again, nobody gets excited until they get their tax notices.
That's what I'm saying.
You
If
know.
we want time to think about it before a vote, we actually have to do something before our June meeting.
Could we,
It may mean having a separate meeting.
Well,
for
I was
that.
gonna say,
I think
could we-
did that one year.
Well, if you remember, at Harris, we had a closed session and discussed this particular thing, and that's been 3 months ago, and we talked about it then. We didn't have public comment since then, so that's the issue. We knew the information, but how do you get that out there? And other than what Rod said, this is the budget, and if and when, I should say if and or when, there's another truth and taxation hearing, and there's another, then I think we need to, do a better job of advertising it for the June board meeting.
Right.
And say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this budget is going to involve
fantastic.
a tax increase,
Right.
even though the official hearing doesn't need to happen
Right.
in law until August.
Yeah.
So
That's what we
and we need to put that in a way that people can understand, so.
And that's what I was saying,
Yeah.
that's dependent on the state and the mandate
Exactly.
for when the date.
The other problem is I do not get tax information from the state. It's not required by law for the state to have their tax rates until the 10th of June. So I don't know how much money I'm going to get from taxes until the 10th of June. I always kind of make a guess, but that's kind of another problem that we face, is just the way the whole thing is set up. It makes it difficult. And even when I was talking to you about tax increases, I had to do just a rough estimate of what it was going to cost, and all I had was average home values, and at that time I didn't even have the new average. The average back when I talked to you, the average Box Elder home value was $260,000. And even the new average is $330,000, and we all know that's probably too low.
Yeah.
The inflation has happened so fast that we don't know. But once again, they're supposed to, they give us a certified rate that we can't go over, and that's why we have this meeting, is because we're going above that certified rate. That certified rate is significantly lower than last year's rate was 72 something. We're down at 68. So
Well, and I think some of it is a guessing game on everybody's part, right? Like, because
Yeah.
we're predicting and
there are a lot of factors, like when you start talking about farming, there's green belt, and the guy with the pasture probably isn't on green belt, so it's just considered regular property, so he took a 550% increase. And we know that Perry was reappraised this year, because I got tons of calls from people in Perry, including Karen Cronin, about how crazy the increase was. So
I did, I said I have two hats.
Anyway.
Ridiculous, and one is a school
But I think that's a good point, and I'll make a note in my budget information to try to, we can try to accelerate that a little bit.
That would be helpful, thanks.
Thanks.
Any other suggestions?
If I could, we have not decided on a reading assignment, but for Box Elder School District, for our principals last week, I put together a presentation, and it's called The Ring of Fire, and I took it from a book called The Leadership Moment, and it's 9 true stories of triumph and disaster, and one of the stories is about a fire that happened in Montana clear back in 1949, and at that time, and for a long, long time until the fire that happened, the disaster happened, that they had the movie Only the Brave was made. That was the largest group of people that were killed. And I put together that presentation, and it is about a half an hour, 45-minute presentation, so I don't think that I'll do it for the board, but I've got copies of that particular chapter. It's chapter 2 from this book, and I want to give credit where credit's due. When the superintendents meet on a monthly basis, we take about 20 minutes each meeting, and we have a section called Getting to Know You, and each superintendent at one time or another gets a chance to get up and talk about, you know, themselves, what they believe in. And Rick Robbins from Canyon School District, who used to be Juab School District's superintendent, started just last year as Canyon School District superintendent, and he talked about how he started off his year with the Ring of Fire discussion. And this is a really great story, and I think it would be good, what it is, and I actually, Carrie liked it well enough that she actually had me give that to the K2 teachers yesterday and the 3-5 teachers today to talk about the parallels of this story and how it affects being leaders in schools, being leaders in your classrooms, and some of the mistakes that were made, a lot of the mistakes that were made were basically system mistakes that were made that cost lives. And at the end of the whole thing, I asked all the groups that I presented to 3 times now that this particular story talks about people losing their lives. And is that as significant as what we do? And in the discussion, with all of the research that's done, if students have ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, the research shows that they could live up to 7 years less than somebody who doesn't have ACEs. The research shows that children with ACEs are more prone to be going to prison. They're more prone to be lower income. They're more prone to be, you know, even disabled. And so I think to say actual life itself maybe is a little extreme, but certainly the quality of their life is affected very much by what we do. And so I would like, this is really a simple read. And so I've got 6 little copies of it here. And next time I'd like to put it on the agenda just to discuss it. And by then we'll have a little bit of a decision. I think we know the book that I'd like to request that we have a book study on for next time. And it might even be this book. Right now I'm reading 3 books to try to keep up with different. The superintendents have a book club, and they have a really incredible book called Extreme Ownership. And that's one thing that I'm really interested in, but I haven't had a chance to read only a portion of the first chapter. And then there's another book that was recommended at the Response to Intervention, the RTI conference, that really is interesting, and it kind of follows up on our Learning by Doing book. And so kind of in that decision-making mode. But this Ring of Fire thing really excited me, and it's at least they say they've accepted it well and really enjoyed it. I enjoyed presenting, and you can usually tell when you're presenting if somebody's just, you know, sitting back going, oh, this sucks. Or if they're up and talking, and we had discussion and have those types of things. So I think you'll really enjoy that read, and it talks about that. So I'd like to suggest that for next time.
Yes, thank you. We'll put that on, and we'll read this and talk about it next time. I think I've actually heard this story. That's a good one. Okay, just a note of upcoming events. The delegate assembly is next weekend, and me and Nancy and I, I'm a math are attending that for representative. And then the September 16th, the Northern Box Elder County Suicide Prevention Coalition at the Box Elder County Fairgrounds. And then the USBA Leadership Academy is the 16th through the 18th. We have not heard if we have any more availability yet.
Not.
Okay. So far that would be then, who's going to that? Me and Karen and Nancy. Okay. And if we have extra space, we'll let you know.
As soon as we know.
As soon as we know, okay. I don't think we have anything on the board handbook we need to discuss at this point.
I think it
So-
actually came from Gary.
Any other?
Motion we adjourn.
Okay, motion by Karen to adjourn. Second by Tiffany. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, and we will see you next month.
Okay.
Good job.
Please. Okay, go in the box.
No
Thank you,
persuasion.
Gary, for this.
Say again, what?
Good job on your resignation.
I guess you guys got grilled tonight. We all did.
Are we ever gonna get some of the parents and people that complaining they want a filled house? You know, I actually called Jamie and I said, why don't you tell those high school teachers that want a filled house to get down here and support the tax hearings? We didn't get much, not many takers, did we?
Not really tonight.
That's awesome. Well, you know, we've had certain questions for the last.
Superintendent.